Good morning to you. So many elements to this, not only British boots on the ground, but I want to ask you specifically about the worrying reports yesterday that the World Health Organization were raising the alarm about a laboratory containing pathogens that fighters had broken into, things like, I believe it was measles, polio, cholera. And this is a lab that's partnered with China, of course, has echoes with Wuhan. How concerning is this?
Well, the fact that the WHO, the World Health Organization, have raised this as such a high risk, yes, of course, we must be concerned. I think that their reaction to the COVID outbreak in Wuhan was a bit muted, and I expect this time they want to make sure that people are absolutely aware. But, Sudan is a very challenging area. It's had civil war, there's been conflict there for years and years and years. So I think lots of people are very surprised that we've got these sophisticated biolabs in a place like Sudan. And it highlights the key thing that these labs around the world are unregulated and unpoliced. And this should be another wake-up call to the United Nations and to all countries in the UN that we need to secure these labs properly. They do a lot of great work making medicines and medical countermeasures, but the potential that bad actors can use them to create pathogens the like of COVID to create terror around the world is high. So take notice of what the WHO have said. I have called in the Telegraph today for the UN. Now they've identified it, get involved, get people on the ground to secure that lab to make sure those pathogens don't fall into the wrong hands. Rather than just shout about it, do something about it.
And we hope they heed your warnings indeed. What about the efforts to get the remaining British civilians out? I mean, that first flight, only 39 Brits on board. I think the Home Secretary this morning estimating they'll get out around 200 to 300 today, but that's only a small fraction, as Tom was saying, of the 4,000 that we think are there. This is a huge headache for the British government, isn't it?
This is a huge challenge, and the fact that we have British passport holders all over the world who come under the protection of the British government is, of course, a key headache for the military and also the Foreign Office. And, our military is such a small size at the moment. Conducting an operation like this, is hugely challenging. We're very good at it, I might say, and I'm sure we will successfully get those people out. But it is a challenge when all our eyes have been focused on Ukraine and making sure that the Ukrainians can prevail against the illegal invasion of Russia. To have something like this is stretching us to the absolute limit. So I hope when the dust settles, the government will look at its military to make sure that we have the right capacity to be able to deal with these sort of things. But it is challenging. Lots of criticism at the government at the moment, which I personally think is a little bit harsh, and people not really understanding how challenging these things are. As I said before, Sudan has always been a difficult place. It's always been advised about travelling there and being careful, so that when this broke down, people should have realised that. Now, whether the diplomats got out too early, I'm sure in the review that will happen after this, we can look at that. But at the moment, I think the military are doing a fantastic job in challenging areas. And because there's so many to get out, it's sort of slightly easier for the Germans or the French, who just have a few. They can nip in with their special forces and get them out. For us, we need a more deliberate operation, because if all 4,000 British passport holders want to get out, that is a considerable amount of flights in the tens, not the ones and twos.